This show is brought to you by Kings Ridge Elderberry Farm. Visit tkrfarm.com. That's the Kings Ridge Farm, tkrfarm.com, and purchase your elderberry needs from the Kings Ridge Elderberries. Use code WB10, that's Waterbreak WB10, for 10% off of your first order. And as kind of a personal anecdote here, me and my wife have used this elderberry cocktail that they make. It's fantastic, and our kids love it. In fact, our kids are putting it in yogurt and all sorts of things. And we've had other flavors before that we've not liked, and the cocktail that they put together for their elderberry juice is fantastic. Go to tkrfarm.com and support them. Hey y'all, welcome to Waterbreak. It's good to be with you, the water boy and my wife Annie, the water girl. Don't forget to go to our website, Waterbreak TV, click on Summit, sign up for our Summit. We also have space for vendors. Now, vendors and sponsorships are very limited for this conference because it's our first conference and we're in a nice building. It's not a huge building. We got space, but we don't have tons of space for vendors. So please sign up. Please support what we're doing. Love to see you there. And we got all sorts of speakers. You go to the website and you'll find out more about who's speaking. Ben Greenfield, Joel Green, who we've had on the show before. He's actually coming on. Dr. Tabitha is coming on our show in a couple weeks. Very excited to have her. She'll
we're
be speaking at our
give
conference.
You guys a little teaser with her in like 2 weeks. Next week?
I think it's
in 2 weeks.
Did I say next week, ladies? Okay. Yeah, a week or two. Dr. Tabitha is going to come on. So we get to know her on our show and everything. We're very excited about her and her expertise. And she's a good communicator on this stuff. So for today's show, we are going to talk about why 99% of you should not fast. Now, right now, the prevailing wisdom is like the opposite. 99% of you should fast. Of course, I'm exaggerating a little bit in all this, but like it's a huge trend. And for me, growing up in high school, I was never a guy who jumped on trends. I was a trendsetter. That's why I wore orange. No one was wearing orange.
Yeah.
And so
true.
Right now, fasting is a big trend.
Yeah, and so you're like, I'm against it.
So it's automatically against it.
It's a hard no.
It's automatically against it.
Yeah.
But I would say I just had a couple thoughts as we were thinking through the show, and my wife's got all the thoughts. I got like one or two.
So many thoughts. We booked extra time for the show.
I'm pinky in the brain.
Figure
out who's the brain.
How many thoughts I have on this topic. Yeah. What are your thoughts? I love to hear your original pure thoughts.
First of all, we're really kind of in a society that's at war with food.
Yes.
And I think that's actually one of the foundational problems here. And then I would say, secondly, we're in this fasting world. One of the things that really matter is the reason why you're fasting. Reasons really matter here. It's nothing wrong with, let's say, fasting. It's why you're doing it. And I think we're at war in a similar sense. We're at war with our image of our bodies. I've seen normal women get on Ozempic because they want to get skinnier. Mm-hmm. Normal, you wouldn't think they're fat at all. You wouldn't think the body image is a problem there at all, but they want to be skinnier. And I think there's a ditch. Obviously, morbid obesity is a real problem. Morbid obesity is something that needs to be addressed, something that needs to change in someone who's morbidly obese. And I would say, secondly, kind of that skinniness, that anorexia kind of skinniness is also a problem.
Yeah.
If you're in those ditches, things need to change. And I'd say thirdly, like if God gave you kind of a bigger bone body, maybe you can lose some weight and stuff or something like that. But God wants you to glory in a lot of the natural gifting of what He's designed your body to look like and to be. And so I'd be careful in how I think about the body God's given me and why I think I need to lose weight. Like, again, this goes back to reasons matter. And so
those are good thoughts. It's true. Be
prudent, be wise in this situation. And then don't ever follow fads. Like, health fads are almost always overemphasizing and giving you one solution or giving you what they think the only solution is. And God made our bodies way more complex than that. Our health way more complex than that. Our health is different. My health is different from yours. And, women's health is different from each other. That kind of thing. So don't get caught up in that one size fits all solution. in this. And right now, the one size fits all is either Ozempic or fasting right now is what's going on. So those are kind of my introductory thoughts.
Those are good thoughts. Those are very good thoughts.
I'll hand it over. I'm Pinky. I'll hand it over to the brain here.
To the brain.
You're actually in the industry. You train. You do consulting, coaching.
Yes.
You go to AnnieWrench.com if you want to find out more about that. And so you've been doing this for 20 years, and you've even seen the shift in emphasis change over time. I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s, and the Jenny Craig diets were all big. I remember the aerobic TV exercise programs were big.
Yes, low impact.
Yeah, low impact,
floor
a lot
aerobics.
Of step up and step down dancing kind of stuff. And apparently now there's this trampoline thing that's going on.
Yes, rebounding.
Is that what it's called?
Although, rebounding, good for lymph, so I will say that. But
I don't have a
looks a little funny.
I don't have a problem with
good for lymph flow.
These things, but if it's a trend, that's where the problem
I know it's true. It's hard to, in hindsight, how many trends hit and that in hindsight we're like, that was really good. that ended well. Not very many. Well, not very many.
You know, if the advice that you're being given, let's say like the Jenny Craig diet, let's say someone gave you advice on Jenny Craig diet, you know if it sticks around for 100 years, it probably is true.
Like eating a well-balanced diet, for example.
Yeah.
That's not bad advice.
And that should be a dead
Yeah,
that's been around for a while.
It's been around for a while.
But that's also a dead giveaway when the trend comes in for 5 years or 10 years or something, and then it fades out. Well, it's like it doesn't work because everyone thinks one size fits all,
or it's too extreme,
the marketing push of Jenny Craig, or it's too extreme kind of thing.
Or just like what Joel Green talks about, where time factors in, where everybody does it, and initially they're like, it's the best, and then everything plateaus, and then you see all the downsides 5 years later, 10 years later, and then once we've seen that, then you're like, oh, that was a really bad idea. Time. Just takes time. Sometimes for doing an intervention or a trend, you just to see the negative fallout from that.
And this is not to say that new things, new inventions, new ways of thinking will be the solution, be a longevity solution, or stand the test of time.
Yeah, or that it's bad or that it's necessarily bad either. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily bad. I feel like we have to use our experience and also critical thinking, and not just get on the bandwagon, because I think a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk about today is common sense, and somehow none of us have it. We don't have. We've thrown that out because I think common sense can actually get you pretty far in the realm of health and fitness.
Okay, so my original question I was going to get to was, okay, you've been in this for 20 years, and now we're dealing with maybe it's a recyclable fad, like a recyclable emphasis, where fasting's becoming kind of cool again or something.
Yeah, I don't know. And I even think, the fasting movement, I feel like, at least from where I'm sitting in the industry and who I'm, listening to and reading, I feel like it kind of already had its heyday.
Okay.
And it's actually kind of coming back down a little bit, and the GLPs are moving in a little bit. Yeah. Because, guys, do you want to starve yourself and feel really hungry, or do you want to starve yourself and not feel really hungry? Which
GLPs.
Yeah, as far as starving yourself goes, which I do not recommend, it's way easier, which is why, really that's one of the number one reasons you're so popular, is that you aren't hungry, right? Which is, hunger has always been the killer thing that's ruined our starvation diets in the past, and there's always been something.
It's a great feeling to satisfy that hunger.
Yeah. But there's always been something. The HCG diet. There's been fen-phen. There's been different drugs, different movements, for as long as I can remember. Yeah. But the fasting movement really over the last 8 years or so, where all the big names were talking about it, everyone was trying it, time restricted eating, fasting, we'll talk about what the difference is. I feel like it's actually had its heyday and it's actually starting to come back down a little bit, but there's enough women who right now are fasting quite a bit, or they are thinking about doing that because they're desperate, that there's enough of you that I wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. It's a big enough issue. If not that many of you were doing it, I'd leave it alone. I'd just be like, whatever. You want to starve, you do you.
Yeah. Okay. Why don't you kind of start with where you're at?
Okay. So, what I titled this, you guys, is why most of you, ladies in particular, shouldn't be fasting. It's a little extreme sounding, but I actually do.
99%.
I did not say 99%. Gabe went ahead and did that. I don't have an actual statistic. I just see a lot of women turning to it, and I actually think it's a really bad idea. And I'm going to explain why, okay? I'm not trying to just hurt people's feelings or just make you mad for no reason. I really feel very strongly about this, and it has been such a big movement. And so many women and influencers and doctors even are pushing this as the solution to everything that I really think it bears us just talking about it and putting our critical thinking hats on. It's important. So try to listen with an open mind, okay? It's not wrong for everybody. There's exceptions to everything. Just have an open mind. And ultimately, you guys, you remember, you can just walk away and you don't have to do what I say, okay? So you don't need to come at us or get your...
I don't mind.
He doesn't care.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me. Okay, so first let's do some qualifiers, okay? I want to talk about the difference between time-restricted eating, TRE, and like serious aggressive fasting, okay? Time-restricted eating, and these words get used interchangeably. So if someone's like, I love fasting, you don't always know what they're talking about. Like, do you just skip breakfast sometimes, or are you doing like 48-hour fasts? You know what I mean? Because I don't really see those as being the same things. So generally speaking, time-restricted eating is more when you just structure your day or your week where you have a certain amount of time where you allow yourself to eat, call that your eating window, or a certain amount of time where you don't. And oftentimes this is referred to in numbers like a 16-8. So for 16 hours, I'm not eating. Usually that counts overnight. It sounds like a lot, but a lot of that is while you're sleeping, so it's not that extreme. And I have an 8-hour eating window when I am eating, or you could do a 15-9 or a 14-10. It all adds up to 24. That's more what we're talking about with time-restricted eating, okay? It's not as severe. It's not as extreme. I'm not today going to be focusing on that very much. Okay. So like if you, I do this often. I actually, I'll hit a 16-8 often because I like to eat my dinner early. So if I ate my first meal of the day at like 8 a.m., for example, and then close my eating window around 4, which is when I like to eat dinner, and then just didn't eat until bed, that's a 16-8 right there.
I've rebuked her for this.
Yeah. Now, I don't have a problem with that. I enjoy that. I like it. Now, there's a lot of different nuances here. There are certain genetic body types, like your activators. They have to eat more frequently throughout the day. They're leaner. They have tons of energy. They do not do well. Yeah, they do not do well. They would not make it. And a lot of those people, their biggest meal of the day is dinner, and it should be. And it needs to be a little later, and that's fine. So I'm saying this works for me. It's not a great idea for everybody, but I don't think there's a problem if you found that, hey, I just like to have a little digestive rest before, after I eat, and then when I go to bed and I just sleep better and it just works for me. That's fine. Guys, I'm not coming at you. I do not like the skipping breakfast trend, though. A lot of time-restricted eating, kind of the classic 16-8 model, is pushing your breakfast out, basically not eating it, eating lunch, and then, having your last meal a little later in the evening. I think that's backward. I think for most people, for a lot of reasons, metabolic reasons, managing cortisol, more insulin sensitive in the morning, it's more in line with your circadian rhythms. There's a billion reasons to eat in the morning, especially if you're training in the morning, right? Eat around your training. And then if anything, skip your dinner or push your dinner a little earlier. So you've heard me say that before, but all that to say, I don't really take issue with time-restricted eating as long as you're getting enough food in, okay? A lot of people who are they're pushing that eating window smaller and smaller and smaller. You just can't get enough food in. You can't get enough protein in. You can't get enough nutrients in. So you need to pay attention to that. But if you're just doing a little bit of time-restricted eating because you feel better and it works for you, I'm fine with it. It's not a big deal. Okay. Even there are caveats. There's some people who are doing it wrong, but that's not really what I'm talking about. Okay. What we're talking about today is fairly aggressive fasting, and I come across women all the time who do a combination of time-restricted eating, like they never eat breakfast, right? Because they've been like kind of told breakfast is bad. This is just an easy way to cut your calories, and it is the most convenient, probably easy meal to skip. Yeah. We don't tend to be.
You're out of the house, you're gone.
Yeah, you're busy. A lot of people don't wake up hungry, which is not a good sign, but they don't. It's a lot harder to skip dinner, especially you're the most hungry then, and you're with your family and all these things. So a lot of these women are doing a combination. They're like doing time-restricted eating to some degree, and then like twice a week it's a 24-hour fast, or 3 times a week it's an OMAD, 1 meal a day. Those are, or every once a month I do a 36 to a 48-hour fast. It's like, that's what I'm talking about, like more extreme stuff. That's what I'm talking about today. Okay, so I just want to be clear about that. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, another thing I want you guys to keep in mind as we talk about this is and I just made a car video about GLP-1s, which is a really good example of what I'm about to say here, is that in this conversation, a lot of things can stand in for or be substituted in for fasting. So when I say fasting, you could also put in that sentence Ozempic, which makes you eat very little, right? It can be a bone broth fast, a protein sparing modified fast. It could be one of those really low calorie meal replacement systems like Optavia, where you're literally ingesting 800 calories a day on their little products, or just white knuckling it. Some of y'all are tough as nails and you can like white knuckle low calorie like crazy. You know what I mean? You're only eating 1,000 calories a day because you're like, I can do this. You could substitute really any of that in here, and I'm going to say the same thing about them. And I think I just wanted to mention that because I have the same concerns about people who are on, especially a hefty dose of a GLP-1 that I do about the people who are fasting. It's just the people who are fasting are really impressive because they're not blunting their hunger, which is pretty amazing. So keep that in mind. Any system, drug, paradigm, method that causes you to drastically undereat frequently throughout the week or the month, it could all be inserted here, okay? Last thing I want to say is I am fully aware that infrequent, strategic, longer fasts, for 36, 48-hour fasts, what have you, can have some huge health benefits, and they can be fine, even for someone who normally eats regularly and trains hard. So I understand that. I am not completely against it, but I am against people who do it way too much, way too often. They're not getting enough food in, and because of that, they can't train. Okay, so there you go.
I'll add to that. I think part of that, to me, is more normal. The pattern you find in scriptures,
yes,
is where
absolutely.
In scriptures you find that there was only really one fasting day commanded in the Old Testament, and there was like I think 3 to 5 feast days or weeks.
Yes.
That you find.
Yes.
So overall, overwhelmingly in scriptures, feasting was the normal pattern, and then once a year you fasted.
I mean, at least eating regularly
was
the normal pattern.
No,
they weren't fasting once a week.
But I'm just saying is the
it's a really good point.
Was not to fast in scripture, regularly.
All the time.
All the time. And so I think that's more consistent with how maybe scripture.
I totally agree with that. But I just want to put that out there. I don't do it. I don't feel the need. One of the biggest reasons people do extended fasts, and again, you don't really get these benefits until you're fasting extended. You're not going to get a ton of autophagy by just not eating after 6 p.m. That's not really going to happen, even though some people I think that. You're not going to. One of the biggest reasons people do things like, a 48-hour fast, for example, is for the autophagy, the cellular cleanup. But you get that from exercise, you guys. News flash. So I don't feel like I need to do it. But if you're fit and healthy and you want to do something like that once a year, it's fine. I think it's crazy, but it's fine. It's totally fine. Okay, let's go. Let's be nice to the fasting people, and let's first talk about who we think it's good for, okay? Because I do think it is a tool in a tool belt, not one that most people should be using or need to be using, but I do think it is one. So number one, morbidly obese people, okay? If you are truly like, and I should even qualify this even more, morbidly obese people who are truly overeating. Okay, because you can, and I run into these women often, you can run into someone who is legit overweight, carrying a lot of body weight that they don't want to be there, that's not healthy, but they're eating 1,000 calories a day. Okay, they're real. I work with them. If this is you, fasting is not the answer for you. But if you, like, what does Ben Greenfield call it? The average, like, Walmart person, who's just eating uncontrollably, and they're obese because of that. Just eating crap, the standard American diet. And there's a lot of people out there. They're out there for sure. I don't work with them as much because they don't come find me. I'll say that. And most coaches who are in like pushing things like fasting protocols aren't probably working with those people either as much because they just aren't looking for help. But I'll just say this, if you're morbidly obese, and you're eating way too much, then fasting is a strategy for you. Now, it's not the only strategy, you guys. You can eat 3 meals a day and just cut your calories a little bit and you can lose weight. It might be easier. But I think some people, they do better eating more of whatever they want and just shortening the time of the day that they let themselves eat. And that's really just personal preference. So if you are truly morbidly obese and you're truly overeating, it is a strategy. It is a strategy and it can help you. Okay. So I'm going to put that out there. Dr. Jason Fung is a big name.
Fung, F-U-N-G.
Fung, he's hilarious too. He's so funny to listen to if you ever listen to. He has all these books, The Obesity Code. His latest one is The Hunger Code. But I don't even always agree with everything that he says, but I think he's so funny. So he's just any interview, I think he's hilarious. But most of the people he works with are obese and sedentary, so I understand why fasting, makes sense for them, and it's not bad. And I will also say, most of the fasting data that we have, you guys, whenever Peter Attia or whoever is citing some study, these people are sedentary and often obese. That's why they're fasting. So Stacy Sims mentions this all the time. She's like taking that data and trying to cross it over to people who are training, like athletes, which is what you should be doing. She's like, it doesn't work. Okay. So I just wanted to kind of make that note. A lot of times it's not that all this info is conflicting. It's just, we're looking at completely different data sets. We're looking at completely different demographics of people where this is working, right? Where this is a good idea, okay? So another person where fasting to some degree may be a good idea is any person who's just grossly overeating. Even if you're not morbidly obese, but you're like, I am out of control. I literally eat 5,000 calories a day. I cannot stop myself. Maybe you have low dopamine. Maybe you're addicted to food. Maybe you're, I don't know. But if you are in fact grossly overeating, fasting is, again, one strategy that could work for you. It's still not the one I tend to lean on immediately because I like people to start exercising as soon as possible, and fasting and exercise do not go well together, but it is an option. It is one way to eat less, okay? So I just want to put that out there. And then I'm just going to put this out there too. You see, most of the women you see pushing fasting, time-restricted eating, from like an authoritative standpoint, are menopausal and sedentary. I'm making direct eye contact with my camera. I'll say it again. Full menopause, not cycling, not in perimenopause, very different, and sedentary. And guys, I'm sorry. I walk every day saying that. Like, I walk. You're still sedentary. Like, that's not it. I guess if you looked it up in the dictionary, sedentary technically would mean like you sit on your couch and you never move. Walking is great. And I'm not trying to like belittle that. Walking is fantastic. But you can starve yourself and walk fine. Like, people have done it for centuries. Like, it's not that hard. I want women and to be doing so much more than that. It's a great place to start, but it's not where I want you to end. And that's where you run into problems. So a lot of these women, or even the ones who are like, oh, I strength train. It's like, okay, let me see. Let me watch you strength train.
Actually lift a weight.
Or, I'm sorry. Like, a lot of these women are not training hard.
Class is not
not in a way, and not in a way that is building any muscle in their body. And so again, if your paradigm is tons of fasting, it's going to make sense that you don't move much, or maybe you just walk a little bit, or at best you're moving some very light weight around in a very not super impactful way. And I'm not saying this to be mean to you guys. Women struggle to put on muscle when they are eating, okay? So, like, just don't even. Like, if you're not eating most of the time and you're like, I'm trying to build muscle, it's not going to happen. So just stop it. So you do see a lot of women who are in full menopause because menopause women can tolerate stresses like aggressive fasting better when they're in full menopause, because they're more like a man at that point. And I don't mean like personally like a man. I just mean they don't have all these hormones doing this, all month long. You're a lot more like a dude, and men and menopausal women just handle stress better. So oftentimes you see the success stories coming from there. And I'm not saying it's a right or wrong or good or bad, but again, that's the truth of it, okay? And then I want to put out there that there are certain conditions, cancers, tumors, where fasting can have huge benefit. I know that. Some people have gotten relief from major gut issues by just fasting, not eating, giving their gut some relief. I totally understand that. It can help with lowering inflammation, certain autoimmune conditions. So there's a whole medical side to this where I completely grant you that fasting can be very, very effective. So I just wanted to be fair. Do you feel like I missed anything? No, okay, morbidly obese, grossly overeating, sedentary menopausal women. I hope you sedentary menopausal women are listening, because I have a message for you, and we're going to get to that, okay? So let's just get to who I think it is not good for. And the answer is, in my notes, most women, okay?
99%.
Most women. And I'm going to, I'm almost going to say that. I mean, of course you could come up with an exception. Of course you can, okay? Feel free. All right, there's nothing that I'm ever going to say where there can't be an exception. But generally speaking, I'm going to say most women, especially if you are cycling, in your cycling years and or in perimenopause, which is one of the most, from a physiological standpoint, most stressful times in a woman's body, because their hormone production is doing this, and slowly shutting down. Your body is already, and you can't help this, your body's already leaning on your adrenals harder than ever, trying to crank out more hormones that your body desperately needs because your ovaries are kaputting, So adding the stress of not eating, and please, you guys, if you don't take anything else away from this very long conversation that we're having, not eating for a long time is stressful, okay? I don't care why you're doing it. To your point, I don't care how zen your mind is. If you're just full of prayers and reading, it doesn't matter. Your body is like, wow, we haven't eaten in a while. What's happening? This, that's all famine, war, danger, you know, like this is why girls lose their end times. The end times for your body. This is why you lose your period when you don't eat enough, okay? Because your body is sensing food's not coming in, not a good time to have a baby. It's very simple, okay? Yeah. So please, let's remember that not eating is a stress. So all that to say, I think most women should not be aggressively fasting. And again, please don't confuse this with, not eating after dinner. I think that's good practice for most people, a lot of people. I'm talking about the aggressive fast that we already or the OMADs or whatever, that we already referenced. And the reason for this is simple, because it is not conducive to training hard, which all of you should be doing, or getting your body to a point where you can do it as soon as possible. And we will get to that side of things here soon. And because most of you are already overstressed, and we already established this, fasting is stressful, and undernourished, okay? So it's pretty simple. And again, this is common sense. And I think it's stupid that more of us have not come to this conclusion. I think it's stupid. I mentioned Peter Attia. Most of you know who he is. He's a very smart guy. I like a lot of what he has to say. He has a podcast where he goes on and on and on with other guys about very sciencey sounding stuff. He's a doctor himself. But a while ago, he's a good example of someone who jumped on the fasting wagon years ago. And he's very open about it, which I appreciate. And was just doing pretty aggressive fast. Now, granted, men tend to survive that a little better than women do, and that's how part of God's design, I think. They're just a little more hardy to that kind of things. They can handle starvation a little better. But he finally, more recently, came on one of his podcasts. He was like, well, what I realized was all that fasting, because of it, I had lost a lot of muscle. And I was like, surprise. No way, Peter. You're an MD. I could have told you that at the start. You're going to lose some muscle, you idiot. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe I was hearing him say that he had been fasting for years. Yeah. And he was just like, ding, ding. I just realized this. I lost a lot of muscle. And it's common sense. Yeah. Common sense, people. Yeah. All right. And that's a dude. Okay. And again, muscle, a lot harder to get any amount of muscle on a woman who is training well and eating enough. So I just want to put that out there. So yeah, I think most women should not be fasting, especially if you're cycling or in perimenopause, because it is not conducive to training hard, which I think all of us should be doing, and we're going to get to that. And because most of you are already overstressed, and that is, you can take that to the bank, ladies. Most of you are overstressed. It is just a stressful life that we're all living. And undernourished. So let's get more granular about this. And some of these things are things we've talked about before, but can't be said enough. Most women, especially cycling perimenopausal women, turn to aggressive fasting protocols for weight loss, because weight loss has gotten hard and they don't know what else to do, right? And I said this in my car video yesterday, 2 days ago, yesterday, I don't know. That's usually what happens, is you get to midlife, you get to that kind of 30s, 40s time of your life. What used to work isn't working anymore. Your metabolic rate is clearly low and you're desperate. So it's either Ozempic or a GLP-1, any one of those, or fasting, depending on which flavor you like, right? So it's usually weight loss. It's usually not the autophagy, the longevity, the mindfulness, the brain health. Those are the things. Those are the reasons people say they like it. But most women that I hear from turn to fasting as a way to manage their weight, or to, in attempts to lose weight. Okay. And the problem with this is most of these women, and again, usually these aren't the 20-year-olds. Usually 20-year-olds are feeling fine, full of growth hormone, haven't wrecked their metabolism yet. They haven't been alive long enough to sleep poorly long enough and to eat badly long enough. And, they haven't had kids yet. They just aren't there yet, but you get to 35 and north of that. Most of these women are already way overstressed. They have years of sleep debt. They're undertrained, okay? Your cardiovascular fitness and your muscle, level of muscle on your body sucks, okay? It's bad. No muscle mass. And your calorie and your nutrient intake is already low, okay? So you're already deficient. You're already you're malnourished, right? And you see it in these women. Their skin, they look sallow, thin hair, low energy, brain fog. Seriously, look at all the symptoms of what you guys are experiencing, what you tell your doctor. And I know it's awful. It's awful to be there. Those are the same symptoms that you get when you look at studies of starvation. Mm-hmm. It's the same symptoms, okay? Oh yeah, you're starving. And it's sad and it's hard, because you can be a thin version of that, or you could be an actual overweight version of that. Both are malnourished, both are undernutriented, underproteined, undermuscled, and can't lose weight, So and the reason that you get to that point is because of all the years of stress, sleep debt, and the yo-yo dieting, you guys. As time goes on, that metabolic rate comes down pretty dang low. So I just want to pause and note that I don't think I know that weight loss gets really hard, and I understand the desperation, and I know that a lot of you do find yourself in a place where you are truly not eating very much and you cannot lose weight, and I know that's true. So those are the sorts of women that are coming to fasting, and those are the reasons that the last thing that you should do is eat even less. Okay, now I want to pause here and talk about, are you under eating? Because remember, I said, if you're 40 years old but you are grossly overeating, you're pounding 5,000 calories a day, maybe fasting is not a bad idea for you because you're genuinely overeating, right? Versus these sorts of women that I'm talking to, who normally, if anything, are under eating. But you may be sitting in the audience and being like, well, am I under eating? I don't think I'm under eating. I mean, I hear women say this all the time. They're like, oh no, I ate way too much. I ate way too much. And I'm like, sure you do. And then we track it, and they're clocking in 1,200 calories in a day, 50 grams of protein. That's really bad, okay? That's really bad. So we've talked about this before, but if you're wondering, a good just kind of baseline tool just to kind of get an idea of maybe where you, at your age, your activity level, your height, your weight, your gender, all that, where you should be, where maintenance for you should be, you just look up a TDEE. That's total daily energy expenditure calculator. And I did it, I've done it before on the show, but I did it for myself. I pulled up there's a billion, you just pick a couple. I did it for myself a couple times on 2 different ones. And I put myself in just with moderate exercise, which is not true. Yeah. But I just wanted to get an idea, because I think that's where most women, they'll say I'm moderately, I'm maybe moderate. Yeah. And they had me at 2,200, 2,300
calories.
And that should be my maintenance, right? Yeah. And then if I wanted to, and ideally it should be maintenance at a healthy weight, right? Yeah. So well over 2,000 calories. With just moderate activity, it would obviously be higher
because it'll ask for your height, your
weight. Yeah, exactly. Yep, height, weight, current weight, all of it.
Yeah.
And again, it's not a perfect science, but it'll get you, roughly an idea of where your maintenance should be. And then I plugged in Alan Aragon's model. He has a more sciencey, a little bit more detailed. And I just asked a ton of questions. And I was pretty accurate. And he had me at 28. Okay, so almost 3,000 calories a day is where my maintenance should be. You guys, so many of you, if you plug that in and then you actually tracked accurately what you're actually eating, a lot of you are eating half. Which and a lot of you still holding on to weight, which means your metabolic rate is so much lower. Your body is conserving. It is holding on to fat for dear life because of the years of yo-yo dieting, the years of stress, the years of too many babies too close together, the years of not sleeping enough, not even close to sleeping enough. And I mean, what do all those physiological, signals, what is that telling your body? It's telling your body, like, not enough food, not enough protein, not enough nutrients, not enough sleep. We're freaking out. Shut it all down. Okay. And this is why almost every woman at this point in their life has major adrenal issues due to all the stress, has, a subpar thyroid. I would say I see really bad thyroids, and I see just not great thyroids. Free T3 is like a 2.8. Your doc is going to be like, oh, you're great, but that's not great. Okay, that's a not doing well, sluggish thyroid. I see that all the time too. I barely ever see pristine ones. The people who have pristine thyroids are the people who are eating a lot.
Because they're feeding it.
Yep, which is interesting.
What is the marker? Like you said, 2.8 is not good.
Yeah,
what is a good marker?
I love to see if you're not on thyroid medication. And we're getting Dr. Amy Horniman on in February, guys, and we're going to go next level thyroid, so get excited. I mean, nerd out on the thyroid. End of February, I think. If you're not on thyroid medication at all, I like to see a free T3 at 3.5 or higher. Okay. And just for reference, when I finally looked at my free T3, it was at a 2.0. That is low. Okay. That is how are you getting off the couch low? So thyroid replacement for me. But I will say a lot of women, they clock in at a 2.8, 2.9. That's a sluggish thyroid. That is not enough free T3. But your body does that, you guys. When it has been so stressed out for so long, it's just one of the natural things that happens where it's just we got to conserve, we're going to slow everything down. Because it takes energy. It's expensive for your body to maintain your hair, for you to poop all the time, for you to have energy, for you to have metabolism, right? It's not going to allow for that if you treat your body this way for so long. So
February 26th, Dr. Amy.
February 26th.
That'll be you. I'll be gone. I'll be in Tennessee.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, so years of this, you guys, years of undereating, and please get on a TDEE and be honest with yourself and then track and compare those numbers, because so many of you are eating way less than you should be, and that should be concerning to you, and that should be telling that you've got a lowered metabolic rate. So years of the stress, the not sleeping, the lots of babies, the not eating enough, no lifting, no training, okay? has resulted in, like I said, messed up adrenals, low functioning thyroid, generally depressed metabolic rate, low functioning hormones in general, poor bone density, often autoimmune issues. You know, a lot of you have Hashimoto's by now, probably triggered by all the stresses that we just talked about, major weight loss resistance, and generally feeling like actual crap, just feeling terrible. The last thing, if this is you, and it's a lot of you, the last thing that you need is any strategy, any protocol, any drug, anything that will cause you or allow you to eat even less. I'm sorry. That's the worst idea I've ever heard. It is the worst idea. Okay? And don't be stupid. Okay? Just because the word isn't fast, it could be like, just eat this bar, just take this bone broth, just do this drug. It doesn't matter. This can be packaged any way. You should not be restricting more, period. Okay? Fasting, meal replacements, old-fashioned calorie restriction, GLPs, you name it. They do work a little in the short term, and that's part of the problem, is that women just get so tired of carrying this extra weight and feeling so badly and it not making sense, because it doesn't make sense with the old calorie in, calorie out, eat less, run more model. They're just like, I don't understand. I know I'm not eating that much. I can't lose the weight. And so it's really tempting to crash diet like this, do a bunch of aggressive fasting, get on a GLP-1, because you do know it will probably work, at least in the short term, which it probably will. But eating even less via aggressive fasting is what we're using in this conversation, is going to probably disrupt sleep more, drive your thyroid and hormone function down even more, lower your metabolic rate even more, right? You will lose more muscle, and most of you don't have enough. I mean, you barely have any to begin with. And you're going to end up in just like a net negative, a more negative metabolic place than when you started. And I have seen this with the fasting, with the aggressive fasting, and the GLP-1s. It's happening more now, over and over and over again. Okay, so again, you need to establish, am I already overeating or am I already undereating? And a lot of you are actually not even eating enough, and you're not training, and the answer for you is not to eat less and to give your body even less nourishment. It's a really bad idea. Okay, and I don't care. I don't care if someone's like, but the autophagy, but that, you know, like you need to triage this thing, and you need to give your body way more physiological signs that things are good, that food is here, we are sleeping, stress is coming down, and then you need to train. Okay, you need to train. Any questions so far?
No.
It makes sense. Okay. So I think at this point people would be like, okay, so don't do the GLP-1, don't do the fast, don't eat less. What should I do? I feel like crap, and I'm overweight. You know, some of you are, some of you aren't. It's hard. I mean, there's type A women who are 120 pounds out there fasting because they're just crazy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And like, you need to shrink. I don't really know like what to tell you, but I would say the majority women their body is not, they don't have the body composition they would like to have. And so they're like, well, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fast, you know? So let's talk about what you do need to do, and really listen to this, you guys. I think this is super, super important. And I like to look at this as a pyramid. I guess, what's the latest pyramid? It looks like this, flipped upside down, whatever. Where you have the base of your pyramid, and that's the biggest things that are the most important and the things that have to happen first. This is really important, because when I say everyone should be training hard, a lot of y'all are a dumpster fire, okay? And you are not at all in a place or in a body that should be that can be training hard right now. And if you take a body that is,
it's already worn out,
it's undernourished, stressed out, no sleep, too many babies too close together, and then you're like, let's do some CrossFit, that's going to do way more harm than good, right? And that's why you see me and other people saying all the time, like, maybe you shouldn't be running right now, or maybe you should dial back on the HIIT right now, or maybe you actually shouldn't be working out early in the morning. That's not because any of those things are bad things. It's just because your body cannot tolerate it. It's added stress, and your body is in no position to be able to do that kind of thing. And that's why the order of the things that I'm going to talk about here, the pyramid, is really important. So please, especially if you're type A, please hear me. So the base of the pyramid, this is step one. For me, I think this needs to be sleep, adding in whole nutrient dense food, and maybe a lot of it, and just generally managing your stress. These are three really, really hard things for women to do. Now, the sleep thing is, I can't even put into words how important sleep is. And I can also not describe what a bad spot a lot of moms are in, because they've had so many babies in a row, oftentimes very close together. They haven't completed a REM cycle in like 15 years. and you guys, like that will just absolutely kill your health. I mean, that is when your body rests, recovers, builds muscles, builds, like turns over, does cellular cleanup, like you, and just the stress of not sleeping well alone. I mean, like good luck. Don't even try anything else. Like don't even try anything else. Do not start training hard. Do not do anything until you are sleeping really well. Fun fact, a lot of people who are doing things like carnivore, keto, or fasting a lot sleep terribly. Mm-hmm. So there's that. Something about feeding your body allows you to sleep better at night. Again, common sense, but feels like it needs to be said. So number one, this could take a year. And you might, it totally depends on the person while you're trying to fix your sleep. Now, guys, this might be like literally sleep training your kids. My goodness. Getting your husband on board so he's helping you so that you're not the only one constantly getting up with the kids at night because your health is so bad. Completely changing your habits at night, like forcing an earlier bedtime, getting off the screens ahead of bedtime because that absolutely kills your melatonin. It might mean figuring out a sleep stack that works for you. Maybe you're trying to sleep, but you can't. It could be hormone replacement. You can't sleep without progesterone. You can't sleep if cortisol's too high. You might need to drug yourself to sleep, and I don't care. Do whatever you have to. Talk to me if sleep's an issue. I've got all kinds of ideas for you, but sleep is huge. On the food side of things, and again, I'm not talking to the people who are overeating, but if this is you, I would still apply the pyramid, but and I would still say turn what you're eating, change what you're eating into mostly whole food, mostly whole nutrient dense food, meat, eggs, good quality dairy if you can tolerate it, lots of fruits, lots of vegetables, and that should be most of your food. Okay, that's super satiating food. That is super nutrient dense food, and your body will love you for, in a lot of your cases, actually eating again. Now, that could be just eating more, like literally just saying for a year, I'm just going to let it heal. I'm just going to finally feed it. My goodness, some of you have been starving your bodies, and again, that's what it is. Even if you've named it this diet or this protocol or that drug your whole life, you had a name for it. All you're cueing to your body is starvation. That's all it knows, and that's what it is, okay? So if you just take 6 months to a year and just feed your body good food, oh my gosh, you will feel so much better. You know how many girls I've had just do this? They've actually lost weight, probably just due to your body finally turning its, allowing the metabolic rate to come back up because food's actually present. They're sleeping again. Their hair grows back. Like, it can be so transformative, and I just don't think women understand. So many women don't understand how restrictive they've been with their diet until they actually, do that TDEE, measure how much they're eating, and they're like, whoa.
Right.
Whoa. But so this could just be a year of just not worrying about it and just trying to keep your quality of food high and just go for it. Or if you'd rather, it can be an actual reverse. If you're like, no, I want to be really on it. I want to figure out where I'm at. Okay, I'm at 1,200 calories. Every week I'm going to bring it up by 50, and I'm going to be really, what's the word? Methodical about it.
Intentional.
Intentional about it. Yeah, I mean, a reverse is a pain in the butt, but that might be the way to go. You'll probably have you're going to be less likely to have weight gain if you reversed very, very carefully, but it's hard to do on your own. So call me up if you want to do a reverse. I've reversed a handful of people quite successfully. It takes a certain personality, but it's pretty cool.
And reverse dieting, someone's eating 1,000 calories, you need to get up to 2,000.
A lot of you need to double your intake.
Without growing.
Without getting huge.
Excessively fat.
Yeah, and it's funny because with the reverse, I've seen all of it. I've seen women lose weight as their caloric intake has come up. And again, that's when your body was so stressed out, so downregulated, your thyroid was like doing nothing for you. And then as more food comes in, all those systems come up again. It's like restarting. It's like your computer turning on. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen women eat more and lose weight. I've seen women do it very well and just maintain, which is usually the best case scenario that you're going to promise. And then I've seen women gain weight, and sometimes they needed to. They were like dysmorphic, right? And then other times it wasn't fun, but it was the price they had to pay metabolically to get out of that hole. So
wait, if a woman reverse diets, gains weight through that process, and now they're eating, let's say, 2,000 calories a month, they gain maybe 10 pounds reverse dieting or whatever it was, or 15.
Right. It's not usually much. If anything, it's like probably 5 to 10, and they just freak out about it. They're like,
so how did they? Now they're eating more. How do they lose weight from there again?
Well, it's a great question. The whole point of a reverse is driving your caloric intake. And remember, there's lag time, but your metabolic rate follows it, right? Okay. So now we're up here. And maybe because you've been starving yourself for 20 years, you do gain a few pounds. Yeah. And that's the price you pay to get up here. But now you can add your training in. which now your body is fueled, all systems are running, you're sleeping again. You're in a position where training is actually a good idea, okay? Because before it wasn't. And you can put yourself in a little bit of a deficit and you're still eating so much more food, right? And you're being nice to your body, okay? Like that's why. Because like where you start, you know, if you're eating 1,200 calories a day, you have to go down to like 900 to lose any weight. But if you reverse up to 2,300, you could eat 18 and lose weight. Right. Way better. Right. Way better. Okay. So that's number one. Sleep, whole nutrient dense food. Maybe it's just eating more in general and just being like, I'm just taking a year and I'm just going to like Weston A. Price this thing. That's fine. Or maybe it's a reverse diet. And then manage stress. And guys, when I say manage stress, I mean manage stress. Okay. Stress is a health killer and women are really good at collecting it and taking it on and wearing it like a blanket everywhere they go. And I think you got to be really willing, if this is you, if stress is the biggest driver, you'll see whacked out cortisol numbers on your blood test, maybe even a saliva test. If you've done it, you'll have off energy where you're like really tired in the morning or really tired in the afternoon. You're waking, you can't fall asleep, or maybe you have that, 2, 3 a.m. wake up. You'll see weight gain in the middle. Cortisol just puts on this puffy, really weird looking cordo belly situation. Really poor tolerance to exercise, sensitivity to light, loud sounds, all of those, hair falling out, that's a big one. Those are all signs and symptoms that stress is the biggest driver behind a lot of your dysfunction. And it is very, very hard to lose weight. It depends on the body. A lot of bodies will, some bodies will, if you're a bigger, stronger body, you'll gain weight in those scenarios. If you're like a little bird type body, you'll lose weight, and it really just depends on the body, but it's not good. So you gotta be willing to guys, do big things. Completely change how you sleep, cut relationships out of your life if they're bad, literally quit your job. Maybe the husband needs to get a new job, make more money. You gotta be willing to make big changes if stress is the driver of your unhealth. Okay, so that is number one, and you do not move on to number two until that stuff is done, and I mean it, okay? You can get into a lot of trouble adding in a bunch of spin classes when this stuff is not already taken care of, okay? And like I said, it could take a year. Maybe, it depends on the person, you could have a little light exercise during this time, you could be walking, maybe a little bit of weight, maybe not, it depends on the person, okay? And I just want to say this, I wonder how much, because I think one of the reasons that women don't do this, they're not sleeping, they're not putting good food in their body, they're way too stressed out. One of the reasons that this is going on is because they're doing way too much and they're exhausted, and so they're like, well, I could fast. That doesn't take any time. I can do that. You just don't eat. But sleeping more, exercise, taking the time to meal plan and shop and food prep, all those things take time. But I think it's really sad that these are the things that have fallen to the wayside. Yeah, right. And I don't know, I think in some instances, because it's not normal. I have to talk women into doing this, and it's one of the biggest... Instead of meal planning, I'll do a GLP-1. Yeah, it's one of the biggest barriers to entry. It's one of the biggest barriers to entry to this pyramid that I'm suggesting, is that women, they're like, I can't. I have too many kids, I'm spread too thin, I'm doing too much, I'm too exhausted. They're too exhausted and stressed out to even have the bandwidth to meal plan, meal prep, manage stress in some way, say no to things, you know what I mean? So I think some of it is the lie of feminism, where women are just like, I can do everything, I'm going to do everything, and we've lost, and per usual, when women buy into feminism and everything that it represents, usually who gets hurt the most is the women. I think, I think men too a little bit, but I think women end up hurt in those scenarios. But if you have a life that is structured or prioritized in such a way that you can't sleep, okay, you can't food plan, you can't food prep, and then when it's appropriate, exercise regularly, don't even get me started on how hard it is to get women to make the time to do that, and it is time consuming, then I just actually think that your priorities are wrong. So either there's the feminism issue, or it's more of a, we're just not taking care of mom's health. Again, it's too many babies, too close together, too many things that are on her shoulders. We're not protecting her sleep. We're not allowing her to actually feed her or nourish her body. And so she ends up in this really bad place, and she feels like the only answer is well, I have to starve myself, which is what fasting is. And I think that's really sad. So I think to some degree, a paradigm shift needs to happen here. Moms need to stop feeling guilty about taking care of their health, which takes time, right? fasting is I get why, or GLP, I get why people are drawn to it because it's like negative time. It's like, I've heard women say it. I've heard women say it. They're like, I love it because I don't even have to think about food because I'm not eating it. And I'm like, and I just think that it needs to be, like the Overton window of this conversation needs to shift where it is normal and good and expected for you to get 8 to 9 hours of sleep and for you to, food prep and meal plan and shop frequently and like put good food in your body. Sit down, eat breakfast, sit down, eat lunch. And I mean, dads, I'm sorry, but some of this is on you. Like, I mean, you need to hire the babysitter, hire the mom's helper, push your wife out the door so she can go, meal plan or plan her week at a coffee shop. Push her out the door so she can go to the gym without feeling guilty, without feeling rushed, without it being an added stress. Because it's just like, it's completely normalized for women to just take crap care of their health. And I think because of the way that we live, we're too tired to even fathom it. We're too tired to even fathom, like, like weight train? Are you kidding me? Like, I don't have time for that. Like, I'm too tired. I can't even think about that, And I think that's a problem. I think our modern American life for moms needs to make room for that in some way, okay? We already got to step 1 of the pyramid. Step 2.
Is this pyramid something you made or?
I made it up.
Is there something?
It's my pyramid, okay? I made it up.
You should give me the text and I'll turn it into a pyramid.
We will turn it into a real pyramid. Yeah. Everybody's making new pyramids right now.
Why not?
Why not?
Have the Waterbreak pyramid.
Why not have the Waterbreak pyramid for mommies who are so tired and stressed out?
I'll put it in the graphic, so send it my way.
Yeah, but I really want people to think about that because I think our entire paradigm of how moms live, what we prioritize, what we do make time for, what we don't make time for is really messed up. And that's one of the reasons that people turn to things like aggressive fasting and Ozempic. Like that, it's a problem. So number 2, you've already dialed in your sleep, your food, good clean food, and you've managed your stress, okay? Huge. Take a year, whatever you need. Number 2, get your hormones optimized, you guys. And the reason I have this at number 2 is because a lot of times bringing your stress down, eating food, actually eating, feeding your body, and sleeping can actually normalize a lot of hormones. So I wouldn't go in and start messing with them or replacing them. Unless, for example, you have 0 progesterone in your body and you need it in order to sleep, then you might have to do things you might have to do that first, and that's fine. But a lot of times hormone levels start to look a lot better when you actually start eating again, okay? And you actually start sleeping and you start managing your stress. So that's why I put it in this order. But you need to find a good doctor. You need to look at your thyroid. You need to look at your adrenals, your DHEA, your progesterone, your estradiol, your testosterone, your insulin. These all really matter. If you need help reading this stuff, look me up. I do it all the time. But you need to get these things looking good, okay? And then once that is looking pretty good, or at least on the way to looking good, that's when you start training hard, okay? Notice train hard is not number 1. It's not at the base. It's up here. Not because it's not important, but because these things need to be dialed in before you lay down hard training. Guys, the female body can do amazingly hard things, okay? We can push a baby out, all right? That's really hard, okay? We can do hard things. But what we can't do is really hard chronic things like training hard when we are undernourished, underslept, super stressed out, which for some reason is completely normalized for women, not so much for men. Yeah. I mean, like they just don't do that as much. I mean, I'm sure you can find examples, but it's just like this really weird thing that women were like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to starve myself. I'm not going to not sleep. I'm going to be stressed out of my mind. And then I'm going to go to CrossFit class. And it's weird that it didn't really work out well. Like it's really, and then people are like, high intensity is bad for women or running is bad for, it's not, but we don't take care of our bodies, you guys. Like we just don't take care of our bodies. Yeah. So that's training hard is key. And this is really one of the biggest things, and I said this at the start, of why one of the biggest reasons I'm against women fasting aggressively for the most part is because it is not conducive to training, okay? Fasting, training, they don't go together.
Right.
They do not go together, okay? So here's this paradigm over here where it's like, what can we restrict? What can we cut out? What can make me smaller? What can make me, thinner? What can make me weigh less? What can just make everything less? And then over here, it's a completely different paradigm. It's just like, what can I put in my body? How can I raise my metabolic rate? How can I raise my energy? How can I do more? How can I build more muscle, be more functional, have longevity, and be able to eat, you guys? It's fun, okay? It's way funner.
Yes, it is.
Way funner, okay? So when I say train hard, we've done a billion podcasts on the exercise side of things. You can go back and look at them. We've done one specifically on weight training. We've done one specifically on cardio, so you can get into the nitty-gritty there. I won't do that here. But what I'm talking about, big picture, is some combination of heavy strength training, and then cardiovascular fitness as well. And then at this point, you got to eat to fuel that. You guys, you got to eat a lot to fuel that. I love 3 to 4 days a week of impactful, intelligent strength training. This is not, for the most part, group fitness, okay? And I've said this before. I would like to do an entire show on it. But if you are doing any kind of HIIT class, any kind of high intensity, fast paced, Orange Theory, body pump, any of it, there are few exceptions. That does not count as strength training, okay? Just because you're going through this movement, or there's like a couple of these, that does not mean that you're strength training in a smart, impactful way. And again, like I said at the beginning, you guys, it is hard for women to build muscle as it is, okay? Please don't lay in, I'm not eating, I don't eat, or I do really high intensity, and in between my pull-ups, I do burpees. Please don't do that, okay? That doesn't count. It counts as cardio, okay?
It's
maybe cardio.
One comment on there, you aren't saying that strength training classes aren't good. You're just saying, it's not going to get you to the strength training aspect of what your body should be doing, because one of the, I guess, rejecting paradigms of fitness right now is that women either can't or shouldn't build muscle because it's going to turn them into a bodybuilder.
I don't think anyone thinks that anymore.
But the general reality is actually that muscle's healthy for you. It helps your body. It helps your bones. It helps your long-term health as you get older.
Insulin sensitivity. It's everything, you guys. It's everything.
Especially women, they aren't going to blow up.
Not even close.
And like a bodybuilder would
Not even close.
Or even like a man who would do the normal, same, maybe similar kind of strength training.
It's so
reality.
hard. Yeah.
Men are going to get more muscular or looking more muscular. Women won't really have that same tendency.
No.
The point is like growing your muscles healthy for your life.
Right. You need, and it's hard to do, and it will not happen in a high intensity setting, even if in said high intensity setting push-ups show up or air squat shows up. Right. It is not how you do it.
It's
okay.
More aerobic.
It's cardio. It is, and and it's great. Yeah. I teach group fitness. Yeah. I do, and I even try to bend it. I push at least the day that is supposed to be a strengthier day. I try to push the heavier weight, the lower, the more rest, I push that, but that doesn't stand in. That's accessory work. That does not stand in for the other 3 days a week that I do out on the floor with a 3-minute rest between each movement, because that's how you get stronger. Okay, so I'm saying you need to strength train 3 to 4 days a week. And for those of you girls who are like, Orange Theory, check, no.
Yeah.
Okay? No.
I'm going to hang out on this point just for
a second. It doesn't count. It's cardio.
When men build muscle, one of the benefits is like higher testosterone, some other stuff that's really healthy for our body. But when women build muscle, what is the health benefits there?
Well, I mean, it's like, what does it not benefit? And it's really sad that muscle gets no conversation in the fasting space, barely at all. I mean, at least I don't hear it. Everybody's like, autophagy, and I don't know, weight loss. And it's like, you guys, you understand how much muscle you waste when you do this many aggressive fasts. And even if you are trying to train so underfueled, I mean, again,
maximum
oh my gosh, you guys, it's hard for women to build when they're eating a ton. Carbs and protein is what you need to build muscle. Yeah. Carbs and protein, okay? I don't care what anybody tells you. Carbs and protein is what it takes.
But my question was...
Sorry, I'm getting to it.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's so important. It's important for injury prevention. It's important so that you can just function well in your life. Like, you can go do things. You can hike. You can do a pull-up if you need to. You can, just to feel strong. Insulin sensitivity, it's huge for insulin sensitivity. Remember, your muscle is your biggest organ of glucose disposal. I mean, one of the best ways to lower glucose after a meal is literally just stand there and do like 30 air squats, and they just eats it all up. I mean, all the diabetes doctors out there, in terms of lifestyle interventions, they're like, you need to build muscle. Yeah. You need to build muscle, okay? In general, the stronger you are, it's normally associated with a better hormone profile for women, at least. Okay. And it's body composition and it's confidence, okay? And it really does overall give you a higher metabolic threshold so that you can eat and enjoy food and not be thinking about it all the time. Yeah. It is so sad.
Yeah.
So sad to be like, well, I'm fasting, so I'm just thinking about food, or okay, I am eating, so I'm thinking about food, or like, we call that food noise, and it's just the worst. And it's just, I hate it for you guys. I hate it for you guys. So back to what we were talking about, training hard, 3 to 4 days of impactful, intelligent strength training. This is not your classic group fitness class, and I do have a program. If you're like, okay, fine, I'm going to change my paradigm. I'm going to stop starving myself and being obsessed with the scale and being obsessed with how long I could go with the not eating, and I'm going to start eating and I'm going to start lifting. I have a program for you. Message me. It's a great program. And then I want 2 to 4 days of impactful, intelligent cardio also. And again, cardio is fantastic. You guys, we need it. It's been demonized a little bit, by the people who are obsessed with just lifting. But also B, it's been given a bad name by a bunch of women who have taken very poor care of their health and then tried to do it. And then it's messed them up and they're like, don't do it. But if you eat enough, if you sleep enough, you manage your stress, cardio's fantastic, you guys. I do a crap ton of cardio. I love it. Number one, I love it. My body handles it really well. And, I haven't missed a period my entire life. So as it turns out, you just have to eat, okay? You just have to eat. But it's important for VO2 max, which is one of your most guaranteed longevity markers, is where your VO2 max is. It's important for just heart and lung health. Cardiovascular disease is what kills almost everybody. No matter what anybody thinks, that's the number one killer, okay? Everybody's scared of all these other things, but it's like, yeah, you're probably going to die of heart disease. So you should probably be doing this. And again, walking is not enough, okay? We've done a whole episode on cardio where I go into start with this, then do this, then do this. I think it was, get your zone 2 stuff in, then sprints, then VO2 work, something like that. But just go back and find it. Maybe we can link which number. I don't remember which episode it was. But I want it all, okay? And this is what you should be doing, you guys. You should be training hard, training like an athlete, and eating like one. It's a better life. It's a healthier life. It's a healthier brain. It's more energy. It's feeling good. It's not having to obsess about food all the time. It's not having to obsess over the scale, having muscle. It's vitality. It is so much better. It is so much better. So that's what I want. And here at the end, oh man, we're doing it. We're doing good. Yeah. So I just wanted to know why, and we've kind of talked about this a little bit already, but why is this so hard? Why is selling what I'm telling you guys to do so hard? And why are so many women much more likely to be like, well, I would just rather eat less. I would just rather do some fasting or take an Ozempic, take a GLP-1. And we just mentioned this, but because it takes time. All of this takes time. Everything that I'm suggesting takes time. Eating better food takes time. Taking the time to eat takes time. Getting your cardio in takes time. Sleeping more takes time. Strength training takes time. One of the reasons that, speaking of group fitness, one of the reasons HIIT is so popular is because it's fast. You don't rest. You just move. You get really tired. You burn some calories. You sweat, and then you lay down, and then you leave. That's why everybody likes it. It's not how you build muscle, though. Muscle build is time consuming. You have to take the breaks in between movements or it doesn't work. So a lot of this takes time. And again, you guys, I am here to say that I think that we need a huge paradigm shift in how we prioritize a woman's life, like what things she makes time for, the things that are important, and the things that should just be assumed. Like it should just be assumed that you train. It should just be assumed that you shop several times a week and that you put good food in your body and in your family's body. You eat regularly and often to fuel all the things that you want to do. It should be assumed that you're striving for 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Now, if you have a newborn, please, it's okay. You do what you have to do. But that's a very short season of life. I just think that we need a paradigm shift, and moms should not be in a place where they are so stressed out, so busy, and so exhausted that they don't even have the bandwidth to fathom doing something like this. And so they're just like, I'll just not eat. It's just easier. I can't even fathom doing this stuff. Another reason this is hard is that there's a steeper learning curve. Learning how to strength train, that's intimidating. It takes time, effort, money. Oftentimes it's an investment. All y'all don't want to invest. You'd rather just starve yourselves, again. And I think dudes, you need to be like spearheading this. You need to be like, no, let's spend the money. You're worth it. This is worth it. Maybe you need to make more money. I don't know, but like this sort of stuff should be non-negotiable, and it will be the difference between you being weak, frail, and having osteoporosis by the time you're 70 versus strong bones, great, healthy body, functional, playing with your grandkids. It makes a huge difference, you guys. And I mean, if you're young now and you haven't yet experienced what years of under eating and not training will do to you, please, just as a cautionary tale, I see these women all the time and they are always full of regret. All they cared their whole life was low fat, this diet, be thin, fast. It's all the same thing. It's just packaged in a new way. Right now it's the fasting and the GLP-1s. Their bones are awful. Their body's hormone production is terrible. They have no strength. They fall all the time. They're frail, and they're so full of regret. They're always full of regret, and they're always trying to get you to reverse it for them. And you can to some degree, but you guys, at that point, a lot of damage has been done, and it is so much wiser and better to get ahead of this now and start training for menopause. Like train for that. You know what I mean? And you got to eat in order to do that. You really do. Yeah. I think another reason this is prohibitive is that a reverse diet, the idea of eating more, is really scary. A lot of women are, honestly, like, we have problems. Okay, like we have problems. Like food is the enemy, your body
Yep,
is the enemy,
that's right.
you're scared of food.
Yep.
It's a really dysfunctional, unhealthy relationship with food, and the idea of eating
A lot
more.
of anxiety there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and it's awful. And you got to work through that. Get some help if you need it. You got to work through that, but you've got to get to a place where eating more is something you're excited about. And honestly, guys, I just really encourage you to look at your body like it's your friend. Like look at your body like it's a gift from God, which it is.
Right. That's right.
And that's how I look at my body. I think it sounds funny. Have I ever told you this? That when I think about my body, I don't think about it as me. I think about it as like my buddy, my friend. Like I don't know why. Like my brain's in here, and then here's my body.
Do you call that cognitive dissonance?
Yeah, I mean, it's what do you call it? And I know
Disassociation.
Yeah, but that's how I think of it. And so and I love it so much because of what it's done for me. I mean, not just in the sport world or in the exercise world, but like the fact that it's created 3 children, it's just amazing what it's done, and I love it so much. And so and so that's probably one of the reasons that I'm so willing to spoil myself. Like I want this product and I want this because I'm like, this body is my friend. And like I love it. And I'm always looking for ways to treat it better, but also to push it. And I love getting in situations where it's like, okay, never ran this fast before, or okay. And it's like you ask your body to do something and then it does it, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a great relationship to have. And I feel like a lot of women, their body is their enemy. Like they hate it. And it's like the problem. You know what I mean? It's like if I could just have a different body, or if my body would just stop doing this or doing this. I mean, most of the time, if your body's doing something, it's trying to tell you something, right? Like if you feel really bad, or your hair's falling out, or you're waking up in the middle of the night, or usually it's trying to tell you something, and like you should try to get to the bottom of it. But I mean, there's nothing that makes me more happy than putting the best fuel I can in my body, and I'm so grateful to it because of what it can do. Like that's how I look at it, and I want that for everybody, because I think a lot of women have a really bad relationship.
Yeah.
With food and with their body. So, this is a paradigm shift that I'm talking about. It's a priority shift. What I am trying to sell you takes a lot more effort and time, but I do think it is way healthier and better, especially in the long term. If you can't be sold in the short term, especially in the long term. And I mean, really, ultimately, I'm talking about stopping being that person who is consistently looking for ways to eat less. Unless you actually are overeating, obviously. Being that person who has a body that is completely untrained, it is not strong, it can't jump, it can't push, it can't pull, it's easily injured, it's weak, right? That's a lot of us women. Someone who only cares about being thin, a number on the scale, and it's just a paradigm of restriction, and it's sad, and y'all don't feel good. Okay, half y'all already know that. You know you don't feel good. The brain fog, the lethargy, the low, it's real. And the other half, you've just been there so long you don't notice anymore. It doesn't feel good. But what we want is a strong, capable body. And honestly, guys, a body that is fed well, sleeps well, stress is managed, and trains well, it looks good. Okay, it's a really good look. So I'm not saying that the looks don't matter. You'll get that too. And one that stays young and can do stuff. Okay, like I want you to look at food as fuel rather than something that's ruining your goals. And like I said, I want you to look at your body like it's your friend. It's a healthier, funner, more functional, and ultimately way more metabolically free paradigm to have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any thoughts?
Is that it?
I think that's it for me. I mean,
you should give me your notes, and I'll turn that into a blog post on our Substack.
With our own pyramid?
I'll design the pyramid so you have it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, that sounds good. So email that to me and I'll take
Okay, I will.
Yeah.
And you guys, this was a lot. And I know we probably, some of you are probably just like, okay, well, because there's so much misinformation, so much conflicting information out there. And I know that. And it's hard to sort through it, especially if this is not something that you're an expert in or not something that I work in the field. So I can imagine trying to sort through this when you don't. That's really hard. Some of you have had a decent amount of success, short term at least, fasting for weight loss, and I know that. And I mean, and again, there's a lot that goes in there, but what I'm pushing more than anything is a paradigm shift. And I really hope that you guys really think about this because I think a lot of you could be seriously just fit beasts if you wanted to be. I think you absolutely could.
I don't think they want to be beasts.
But you know what I mean. But I mean, I think you absolutely could be, and I think you'd be so much happier and live a much higher quality life. And sometimes you just have to think about things for a while, like you just need to marinate. And you need to baby step in order to get there. What I'm doing now in terms of like my fitness routine, I've built up to this over years and years and years. It takes time. Obviously, it takes wisdom. And you do need to do things in order. But if you just need to talk about any of this, okay, wow, I need to completely reprioritize my life. I need to change the way I think. I need to change the way I fuel my body. I need to just,
that's right.
which a lot of you, that's what it takes. It's a complete foundational change, okay? Like a complete, like just like 180 shift. Feel free to reach out to me and we can talk about it because it's a lot. I totally understand that it's a lot, what I'm suggesting here. But hopefully it was clear enough.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
Yeah.
So I'll take Annie's notes. I'll put them in Substack. That'll be a good way to kind of maybe reference this in your own life if you actually decide to make some of these changes.
Yeah.
Secondly, if you want to contact us, email Annie some questions, email RenchMedia@gmail.com. That's RENCH media@gmail.com, and she'll be able to kind of sort through those. And then if you actually want to sign up in coaching with her, you can go to AnnieWrench@gmail.com. And there's a number of different ways, different products that Annie has on her website. And there's groups she can connect you, bring you into and one of your health groups, stuff like that you can get involved with and everything. So she can work with you online, not just in locale here in Moscow.
Yep. I have a strength training program for ladies that you can join from anywhere.
Right.
I recommend it if you need some guidance there.
And lastly, sign up for our first Waterbreak Summit, March 27th and 28th here in Moscow, Idaho. You can go to our website, Waterbreak TV, waterbreak.tv, click on Summit, and that should give you all the details. We should be, to be able to sign up and register the dates, location here in Moscow and everything. We'll be adding things like hotels and some other places if you're coming from out of town that you can already, so you already know what to do or where to sign up for lodging and so forth. So that should be coming on the website here in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, I'm super stoked, you guys.
Yep. We're excited for that. Excited to meet you guys here in March. And thank you for tuning in. Make sure you share the show, share the podcast, share the YouTube link that comes out and everything. But we're very grateful for you guys for tuning in and for your time. So enjoy Waterbreak, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.